that we're all seated, we are ready, set, go for the fireside chat on women leading the charge in decarbonization. In this session, we will explore the vital role that women play in driving sustainable practices within the maritime industry, particularly focused on decarbonization efforts. Please welcome Khushbu Singh, Managing Director of Knots Shipping. Khushbu will take it from here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the session so far. My name is Khushbu Singh, and I'm the Director of Knots Ship Management. We are proud to support this conference as a seafarer wellness partner because we truly believe that seafarers are the backbone of our industry. Their hard work and dedication keep global trade moving, and as we look forward, the future, ensuring their well-being remains the top priority. As we discuss decarbonization, it's important to remember that these initiatives are just about reducing emission. They are about creating a sustainable, safe, and a fair environment for the very people who power our ship. The maritime industry is navigating a critical path toward decarbonization, driven by innovation, regulation, and the growing sense of a responsibility. Decarbonization is gaining momentum with breakthrough in cleaner fuels, electrification, and energy efficient ship. Yet the road ahead presents even greater opportunities, especially in the development of scalable alternative fuels and renewable energy solutions. This transition requires a fresh perspective, and that's where diversity plays a vital role. This diverse terms brings diverse ideas that help us address the complex challenges of transforming our industry, whether engineers, innovators, policymakers, or leaders. There is a space for everyone. Diversity is just a fairness. It enriches our solution and strength in the maritime sector by reflecting the full scope of a human potential. By welcoming more diverse talent, especially women, we can tackle the challenge of decarbonization more effectively. Diversity is not a moral imperative. It's a strategic advantage and will guide us toward the greener future. We need to have more conversation on this. This is why I am glad to fireside chat happening. I am deeply honored to call on stage Shipra Saxena. Shipra is the Assistant General Manager, Corporate Responsibility at Transworld Group and responsible for managing group CSR and ESG strategy and program implementation. Isabella is the co-founder of Clean Marine Shipping and has a 25+ years of shipping and trading expertise, specializing in metal, fuels, and renewable energy. With a strong focus on the bunker industry, she has held various leadership roles and worked closely with pool ship owners from the past 7 years to facilitate the transition to a new regulation and decarbonization in shipping industry. These two inspiring women leaders in decarbonization will be interviewed by young Chief Officer Santi Krishna Radhakrishnan from Spain. As they explore how decarbonization impacts life at sea and the existing opportunity for a woman to pursue meaningful career in this field. Thank you. Namaste.
For the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shanti Krishna. I am sailing with Seaspan Ship Management as a Chief Officer. I started my sea career in 2008 as a deck cadet. When I look back, I can say that there is a massive change in the maritime industry. When I joined sea in 2008, things were completely different. I would say I'm a fighter because I had to fight to survive. But today I can see a massive change and supporting the women who is joining the maritime industry. I would like to use this opportunity to thank the DG Shipping, Maritime CEOs, and all the shipping companies who supports the female officers joining the maritime industry. Thank you. Thank you, Maritime CEOs and CSPAN, for giving me an opportunity to participate in the Maritime CEOs Conference 2024. Thank you so much. For those who are watching us online, you can comment your views in the comment section. As the maritime sector is the hottest part of the global maritime industry to do the decarbonization, let us hear from our panelists what we have done so far and what are our future plans to decarbonize the maritime industry. Okay, so let's begin. To begin with, Isabella, we would like to hear from you about your career journey and how you got involved in the decarbonization in maritime sector.
Thank you so much. And first of all, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you, Sanjam and Birgit, for this opportunity. I've been watching online the conference for the last few years, so being here in physical is such an honor, so thank you. Well, I am originally Romanian. I moved to United Kingdom in 2000. So when I was a child, I grew up during the communist regime, and I wanted to be a doctor. Until the revolution happened, and some information came, and I read this article. I remember I was 13 years old. It was an article about import and export. I have to say that literally, reading that article, everything changed. My life, my career took a different path because I said, this is what I want to do. I mean, we didn't know what trading was, but I knew that is what I want to do. And I was very fortunate to have my mom and my brothers who really helped me to guide me to what kind of school I have to go and to study so I could follow my dreams. I had my first job with Trafigura in Romania. I started an operator in the metals. Then I moved to United Kingdom where I worked in corporate world, eventually moving into oil, shipping. And then in 2007, I left corporate world. I started my own consultancy business, and then I discovered climate change, sustainability, and I discovered hydrogen fuel cell. So this was, I fell in love again with another passion, which has led me to create my startup, which actually is together with two of my mentors. One was my boss, my manager from my first broking job in London, and the second was my mentor in the fuel cell. So this is my journey, and this is how I managed to start this startup with mentorship and with the people I love. So thank you.
Thank you, Isabella. Very inspiring story. Now we would like to hear from Shipra about your career journey and how you got involved in the decarbonization in maritime sector.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here, and we've been associated with Maritime CEO for the past few years, so we truly, truly feel very strongly about the work that we all do together. For me, I have always been a social impact professional, where I was working on creating community impact, working with people, bringing about change in people's life through social impact and social development. And then came a time where I was on my break when I was in the phase where we had our first child and I wanted to spend some time. So I'm a classic example of returnship to work. And when I was interviewed by Transport Group, where I work currently, so I was asked, what were you doing when you were on a break? So unlike the startup, I said I was working on my skills, because motherhood taught me a lot of skills that were really and are very helpful in my current profile and the current work that I do. So at Transworld, I was working and I am still working in social impact space, but there was a time when we were discussing a lot of work was happening in sustainability space and decarbonization space. We are a ship owning organization, but we realized that how do we really look much deeper and see the kind of impact we are creating or we should be creating through the business. And that's when I think, again, leadership placed a lot of trust in me. I do not have any technical background in sustainability, but it was at that time a lot of trust was placed, and I started looking into environment, social governance and sustainability space at Transworld Group. And now we are, for the past 4 or 5 years, working very deeply, looking into our decarb strategy, working towards net zero aspirations.
Thank you, Shipra. Very inspiring journey, your life career journey. Next, I would like to ask you, Isabella, can you explain the role of clean marine shipping in advancing hydrogen fuel cell technology and how this is contributing to maritime decarbonization?
Yes, I'm very happy to talk about my startup. So we are a tech startup integrating the hydrogen fuel cell into the maritime, with the goal of reducing the gas emission and towards net zero transition of the shipping. We have two main components. One is the fuel cell. We use a particular type of fuel cell, which is the alkaline fuel cell. The reason we're using this fuel cell is because, first of all, it is modular, which means it can be applied everywhere from the port, barge, ship. Second, is very efficiency, has a percentage of 85%, and the costs are very low. The second part is the waste to energy system. So our main source, it is the waste. So we are looking at taking the organic waste that is produced by the ship, by the port, by the communities. We take it, and using the processes within the system, we create electricity. The milestone of our technology right now is the fact that we are, the science team, it's almost completing the 1 square meter electrode, which is one of the largest. And this is why it's so suitable for the ship applications. In the long term, we are looking at so let's say in the next 5 years, we'd like to achieve the following milestone. One is a liquid system, waste to energy liquid, then 5 megawatts shore power, which will be as a training facility, and then will be a full system of 40 to 100 megawatts, which will be like an operator full system. Just to give an idea, the 1 meter square electrode actually is capable of creating 7 kilowatts power per hour. So really, having a 40 to 100 megawatts on a ship, that will exactly what the ship will need. So this is what we are looking to do. We have been working on different projects, and hopefully the implementation will happen soon. So maybe next year I'm coming again and we show a pilot here in India. Who knows? I would love to. I know that India has a really big community of hydrogen.
So as you said, in next 5 years, we can expect the hydrogen as fuel. And,
hydrogen fuel cell on the ship.
Yes, and
yeah.
Also the bunkering operations and the safety aspect.
Well, this is, at the moment, there are no regulations or no safety. So during these pilot procedures, we'll be looking at the safety and essentially the seafarer training. Yeah. And actually, I was talking to, last night, Gillian, and a friend of ours, exactly about the training of and the operations of the seafarers, because every ship always has to have in consideration the safety of the seafarer. And within our procedures and technology, we're looking always to have the training done concurrent. The technology will always be evolving, because what is very important also to say, this alkaline fuel cell we're using, the base, it is actually the technology that was used to land on the moon. We took it and we refined it, and so the technology will always be evolving and developing, and we are working with a mind that will be working with engineers on board of the ship and involve everyone from the naval infrastructure to the masters and chief engineer. So yes, we need all the stakeholders involved in the shipping supply chain to work with us, or to work together. And this is what actually I really like. I've been in the shipping industry for almost three decades, and I have a good understanding. I have been all supply chain, from managing a terminal to being an operator to a trader, and I always rely on specialist advice. So especially working with people like you, for example, you know.
Yes.
So, that is collaboration between all of us, how to design everything with the safety in mind of the people, yeah. The seafarers are the number one
Yes,
commodity we have, the most important.
Thank you, Isabella, for the valuable inputs. The maritime industry has been traditionally male-dominated, but we are seeing a shift. I would say I'm one example of that shift. So, Isabella, how can we further encourage women to take leading roles in maritime decarbonization efforts?
Sorry, can you say again?
Yes, how can we further encourage women to take leading roles in maritime decarbonization?
Well,
work?
so I am for me, I'm a true example of coming from a society. So first, I want to go back a little bit to the previous panels. Very, very good discussions. And I'm coming from an environment where being a girl, I could get any job or I could study anything. There was no difference between me or my brothers to choose a job I wanted to do. I didn't understand the disparity between a female and a male until I came to UK in 2000. Actually, I was shocked. I can tell you, my mom in Romania, I had very strong role models. My mom, which was the financial director of the city, and my grandmother, who was a mayor in the 60s for 28 years. Coming to England and understanding how limited it was shocking. And I started looking around, and I understand there was a really huge problem, not only in society, but in the shipping, in the trading. So I always believed that I can do it. It started with me and working hard and having that mindset of working, coming with solutions. And then I managed to succeed. I became a manager. With the help of my management, I managed to create a team. 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, a team of gender equality. We have 14, 7 men and 7 girls, but I managed to do that. I had 2 amazing men allies who supported me and trusted me to create the team I wanted to do. For me, it's mentorship. And Dimitri said in the previous conversation, mentorship and sponsorship, right? So I totally agree. This is what every one of us, not only the companies, but we as people, we need to look around and to do that. I am truly a believer in, now I'm stealing his phrase, sponsorship.
Thank you for the inspiring words. Shipra, I would like to ask you, how is Transworld Group addressing sustainability, and what are some key decarbonization strategies you are implementing in your shipping and logistic operations?
I think it's a great question, and it's an ongoing journey, and we are working towards it. And I think when we started, it all started with, we really wanted to create a positive environmental impact, at the same time build a more resilient business. And I think the first step that we took was, and very important step was, to do our own housekeeping, look at our own inventory. where we are, where we stand. And once we did that for a couple of years, we put very specific targets and goals to be carbon neutral organization by 2043. So that is one target that we are working towards, which is carbon neutrality. But as I said, it's an ongoing journey, an evolving journey. We also realize carbon neutrality is important, but I think the real solution lies in decarbonization and being net zero. So midway, we also are now looking at creating a roadmap where we are looking at science-based targets initiatives to be more empirically oriented, to realign our target and our goals to IMO targets, country-specific targets, so that we all work towards common goals. And I would say that, this whole process and a lot of solutions are coming up, but most of the solutions are not there yet, which can be really implemented at scale. So while we are looking at solutions and exploring, we thought it's important to also just catch on to the low-hanging fruits. So some initiatives like, say, I would say, a lot of awareness and education within the organization and amongst our stakeholders. Vendor selection, partner selection with partners that are working on sustainability issues was very, very important for us. Then some things that we took were, it was basically EPL, solutions like EPL, then efficiency in propulsion systems. So small things have created some impact. But yes, we are also looking at now alternate fuels, which again, has to be viewed in terms of access, the kind of scale that it's needed, and also the cost perspective. So that is something we are now working towards. And sustainability at Transworld is not only like a sustainability department's responsibility. It is very much part of the business strategy. It is part of all our functional things that we do. So it is a conversation that happens at every table, every dialogue that happens within the organization, whether it is directly related to sustainability, or it's a business decision, or it is a compliance decision. So I think what we've done is, internally, we've created a core group, which comes, and I have my colleagues sitting here in the room, who are, we are cheerleaders for each other, who talk the same talk. We discuss this, so there is a clear direction that all of us are working towards. One thing that we've done is, meanwhile, we have started to offset some of our emissions. So in that process, we really just didn't want to offset. We wanted to also do something in addition to offsetting part of our emissions. So we started looking at nature-based solutions. And we also now, when we offset X amount of emissions or X percentage of, we also plant additional trees. So it kind of balances it out as well.
Okay, thank you, Shipra. And can you also tell us how companies can propel more women to decarbonization to leadership?
I think we've heard such great, look at, the panel here, Isabel as an example, and Birgit in the morning spoke about so many solutions, women founders, so many solutions are coming up. So I think companies collectively need to collaborate rather than reinventing solutions. There's a lot of work going on. So it's important to share best practices, learn from what's happening around us, and then come with common strategies or collaborate with each other. One thing that I would say, and I think it's been repeated since morning, is training, mentorship, and also sponsorship. So that is something that we really, really need to look at. And I think 5 years down the line of Maritime CEO, Sanjam, I think it's also time to have maybe a core group or a task force of women working in decarb and for decarb. So maybe something we should look at as well.
Thank you, Shipra. I would like to ask Isabella, what is your key message to young women aspiring to enter or advance in the maritime sustainability and decarbonization sector?
My advice would be to believe in yourself. If you want to start in the shipping industry, work in different departments. Find the things that you're most passionate about, because the shipping industry is a 24/7 type of work. It's not a 9 to 5. So we really need to find our passion and find a mentor. I'm a true believer in a mentorship. I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't have my mentors. As I said, my partners in my startup are my mentors. My manager from 25 years ago. So find the mentor that you aspire to. Find those qualities that we think we're missing in. See the person that embodies those qualities and ask them to be your mentor. And lastly, find, like, for me also, I was inspired by Agent Scully. I'm one of the Scully effect. I don't know if you, who knows the movies, that series. But I know that so many girls that went into the STEMs, they are the effect of Scully from the famous series, yeah? So find that person that you love, what they are doing, and do that. So
Thank you, Isabella. Would like to hear the same thing from you as well, Shipra.
Yes, I'll just add on to what Isabella just said, that identify your passion, find a mentor, and I think sustainability in maritime is an amalgamation of many things. So you find your spot, and I think we've just started the journey when it comes to sustainability in maritime, and the scope is very, very wide. Whether it's onshore jobs, offshore jobs, there is so much potential to innovate, to look at things differently, identify many existing problems and work towards your solutions. And I think it's a long journey, and each one of you will find your spot where you can contribute, you can create an impact, and just excel in that. So, yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, both of the panelists, for the valuable inputs, and thanks, audience. And
Thank you, Shanti Krishna, and thank you, Isabella. Thank you, everyone.